Hello, this is my RD200A. It's a 19 registered September 75, but it actually was manufactured in September 74. So it's a round tank RD200, and I'd just like to show you all of the component parts. I've worked on it for 2.5 years, and shortly be putting it back together. It's a special, very special bike. It's only done 378 miles from new. So it's stood for the best part of 40 years. So I'll just show you a few of the parts that I've had refurbished. Firstly, these are the original rims, and I've had them chromed, but I had to send them back to be re-chromed again because I wasn't happy with the finish. And when you look at the ID on these wheels, you can see obviously the Japanese brand and the size, and that's 4I. Now that means it's built in 74. I is the 9th letter of the alphabet, of course. That means it was built in September. So this is a 1974 bike, built in September 74 and registered 1 year later. So there's the two wheel rims ready to go. This is the paintwork. And we did this Andy Bike Services from the motorcycle mechanic did this for me. The side panel, of course. These were all taken out. I drilled all of these parts out. There, these have all been replated, of course, and reset back in to the position. So that's a nice looking part there. So that's one of the side panels. Put that there for a second. Feels like the old tank, which I think it is. Again, new reader in there, oil reader. Other than that, totally original. Beautiful finish they've done there. Solid tank. Put that there. Got head bowl. Again, all this is original. Got any. There's the original pieces on there. Refitted that, ready for fitting. But you can see it's very, very nice finish to it all, thanks to Andy Bike Services, the man. What else we got? Okay, have a look. Well, there's the earpieces. You can see the earpieces there in gold, Virginia gold, as they say. What's up there? Now, because this bike had been standing for such a long time, the actual original tank, I'm afraid, was gone. Bit the dust, so I managed to get this down. This is a brand new old stock, which I've had resprayed, and again, because it was standing, I've had to put a completely new tab system on there, a little bit of oil in there, which I sprayed to protect it. These are the original badges off the bike, which I've refurbished. So that is your tank there. There's your tool there, which we'll put back later. The exhaust pipes, again, original exhaust pipes I've had re-chromed, so you can see they're I've polished them, of course, but I have put a spray of oil on them just to protect them. And there's the original number, 397 1411, I think. And the same as this one is 397 147 21. So that goes nice and gently over there. Put that there. Okay. These are again, all these are totally original. There's the grab rail. These are gear components, of course. Gear components, exhaust, all of the re-chroming I've had done. This is totally original off the bike as they were, so that's all chroming. There's zinc plating, there's the stabiliser
pack, main stand, brake spring, you recognise that, all the bits and bobs, there's the rear wheel adjusters and all the various bolts, bits and bobs, again all totally original, none of this is from any other source other than originally off the bike. Okay, right, we've got indicators, again you can buy cheap reproduction off the net. These are not reproduction, these are original. These were all pitted, so I stripped them down. These are the original lenses. These all went off for re-chroming. Obviously very expensive, but at least this is the proper way to do it. And I've remade the ends and obviously put seals on the end there. So all they're all nice and beautiful, ready to go on. I did say this bike was special. It's a RD200A. There's the model number there. And this was the original tax that was on the bike when I purchased it, August 76. It was obviously registered in 10th of September 75, and that's the only tax that's ever been on this bike, and it's ran for 370 odd miles. As I say, I should put a new one of that, but obviously I'm going to keep the tax disc. I did get a new old stock relay for the flashers because you can't do a great deal of that to make them look like new, so it's just as well. That was 23 quid. That was a lovely part from eBay. This was one of the, I think this is the, let's have a look. Yeah, this is the rev counter, refurbished by myself. You can see you have to prise the bezel off, and obviously I've had this re-chrome, set it back in, and I don't know whether you can see in there, but there's actually 3 liners in there which help reflect the various lights, the sort of the neutral indicator, etc., flasher indicator. So they've been reset into the actual rev counter, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. So I'll show you, that's all ready to go. One there, and this is special. Again, the original speedometer, which I've refurbished exactly the same. And there we are, folks, 378 miles, and that is exactly as what this bike has done from brand new. So very, very special. And then you can look into this, and you've got 2 full sets of keys. There we are. There's the Yamaha keys. There's the mounts for the rev counter and speedo. Left hand side, I've cleaned all of these all up of course. Takes absolutely ages to do it. I've refurbished all the inside of that. I think you can't probably see in there, but all of the components have all been stripped down and polished and cleaned, and that's all nice and original. Again, original ignition, air filters. Well, there's the horn that I've refurbished this myself from the bike. You see I've polished it all up, and that's as new. In that little bag there's the fixing screws for it. And then you've got obviously left hand side, the right hand side there. There we are. So that's left and right. You know what they are. Arrows, clips, they were brand new because the other ones are a little bit tatty, so I put brand new ones for that. This is rectifier, I think. Have a look at that. Yeah, that's the original rectifier. As you can see, I've cleaned all the terminals. That little bit of tape there was original, so all of those is all nice and ready to go, all nice and clean. Cleaned at the back there. So that's a nice little part to go back. What we've got here? Oh, that's the other right hand side switch. So that's again original. I've polished all that up. And in here I won't open them, but you can see these are again the original ones. I've polished them all up, greased them, all them ready to go. That's the throttle cable, speedo cable there. Again, all original. Clutch cable. And there's the front brake cable, all original. I did buy that from eBay because the other one was rusted and you can't polish these up, so it's just as easy to get a brand new one. This is an original one anyway, so this is not breaking any rules. New old stock rev counter again. I couldn't polish this up to get it anywhere near what I wanted, so I bought the original. And what I did with this is the original wiring loom, and you can see I actually sprayed it all, and then I put it in a pillowcase, and believe it or not, I actually put it, I had a bit of advice, and I put it in the washing machine with cable ties around it, of course, to make sure it didn't come out of the pillowcase, but it's absolutely brought it up as brand new, so I'm quite pleased with that. You know, that's the sort of the braces that hang on the original ones. You can see brake stop and so on, so you got little bits and bobs there. In there on the back wall there you've got the frame. Obviously it's a matching engine and a matching frame, which you'd expect after just sitting there for nearly 40 years. I put a new old stock one of those on, so that's all ready to go. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful job from Redditch Shop Blasters. Dave, the guy who owns it, does an absolutely fantastic job. And I've got the race bearings, the new ones, to put in there as well. As you can see, there's the E11 label original on there. Put that there. That's on the way. Okay, now what we've got now, this is the original seat, which I'm seriously impressed with, because obviously you know what happens to these seat bases. So that's the original seat base and strap, original cover, original chrome. This was again powder coated by Redditch Shop Blasters, and because this hasn't had any use and it was such good condition, I cleaned it up, polished the trim and refitted everything. Of course, all of these have been powder coated. These are all the original rubbers that I've cleaned up, so I think that could be taken as new old stock, even though the guy who had that was sitting on that 40 years ago. So we'll put that over to one side for a second. Over there. What you've got there is swinging arm. There we are, again all shop blasted, but all of these are brand new bearings that I took the old ones out prior to obviously having it blasted. Brand new, brand new, brand new, brand new. So that's all systems go. Nice condition. And what you see there's the footrest. I won't bother unwrapping that. But you can see that's been blasted and powder coated. And then you got things like the battery box, again all original, and you know Dave takes all the pins out of those and they're all absolutely ready to go, so that's lovely condition there. There's the airbox, again all powder coated, ready to go, absolutely beautiful condition. There's sort of exhaust brackets typically being powder coated. There's the other one, and you've got things like this which I've refurbished. Original lock in there, and that will go on the bike, so that's all nice and ready. Once I've fitted the new bearings on there, bits and bobs. There's the brace for the handlebars. So nice, freshly refurbished. What we got here. So bear in mind, I've tried to make sure that this bike has got everything going back on it. That was originally on the bike to start with. Even though you guys out there know how expensive that is to do that. So, case of having more money than sense, as my wife would say. And there we are. It's obviously where the speedo and rev counter get mounted on the top of the bike like that, and the rubber mounts that I showed you over there go onto there. So that's all nicely done. What we got here? Yeah, the engine mount brackets, there's two of those. So those go there, all powder coated of course. You've got powder coated, this is the brace that fixes to the footrests, and that is in turn, there's the side stand clips onto there, that fixes to the footrests, and then that fixes to the bottom of the frame, so all powder coated as new. What else we got? Okay, that's powder coated side stand. Pop that in there. What we got here? Oh yeah, this is the main stand. All powder coated, ready to go. Tidy all that up in a second. Right. Okay, this is the original engine of course. Brand new old stock cars, because it was standing so long I couldn't, even though I cleaned them up, I couldn't fix them really, they were just too far gone, so they are two new old stock carburetors. This engine is totally refurbished, checked bearings etc, even though you'd probably say it's got no wear at all, but Mark at Raccoon Engines did that for me. He's done a couple of engines for me, does a lovely job, so thanks to Mark Griffiths at Raccoon for that. Absolutely beautiful job, ready to go. Okay, as you can see, this is the re-chromed rear, that's powder coated of course, original lens, even though there's some slight marks on there, I'd rather have the original lens on there. That's powder coated, and in there, now what I've done, even though this was re-chromed, I've put some Amorite in there, resprayed it with chrome paint, and then I've put a protective cover on, because even though it's been re-chromed as new, over time it does break through, so it's better to have it protected. Little bits of paint on there to finish off the locking, which is you'd expect to see. So that can go over there for a second. Put that there. Again, original front mudguard there, again all re-chromed, and those holes there used to have number plates on in the earlier days of course, but they, on this bike it should just have a nut and bolt through there where the number plate would go. Again, I've coated inside there, protected it so that there's something from the protected from the future. There. Okay, what we've got here, original handlebars, all brand new and chromed of course. Exhaust downpipes, there's one there. Original chain guard done, all re-chromed. That's the original one of course, that's all nice. These forks were pitted, so as you know, when you leave them these get pitted, so I sent these away, stripped them down, sent them away, and they got re-ground, re-chromed, and obviously that was all re-chromed, and you see the drain plugs on the bottom there, and I think that's a nice job. Let's see the other one, all ready to go. There's that downpipe. There's the second downpipe, all re-chromed. There's the rear brake pedal. And in here you can see bits and bobs. Or, well, that's the brace that goes over the top of the frame by the battery box. All original. What we got there? Oh. Grips, both there's the throttle grip, original, obviously there's the passenger one to it, as they say, left hand side. What have we got? I think these are the rear footrests, they are. and these are the rear original ones. I've polished these all out both sides. They're the original rubbers because obviously they've had no wear, so there's no point in changing it, and it keeps it original. And what we got here? Oh, this is the front brake that I've polished. There's the brake stop marker goes on there. You can see there's no scratches on it at all. So it's been treated very well in its short little life. And there's the original headlamp. I've obviously had that re-chrome. That's the original headlamp there, made in Japan, as you can see. I've tested all that, it's all ready and waiting to go. That's lovely. Well, that's the other left hand, I think that's the clutch by the looks of it. That's the clutch, polish all that up, that's all ready to go, look. Nice. Again, no marks on the edges, so it hasn't been knocked about or anything. All totally original. What's that? Oh, there's the clear lever. Put a brand new rubber on there because that looked a bit tatty, but so that's new old stock, that gear lever rubber. Put that there. I can't remember what these are, I think. Like wheel axles by the looks of it. Yeah, they are. There's the front and rear axles, which have obviously been re-chromed. There we are. Put that back there. Bits and bobs in here. Probably these are rubbers by the things. Yeah, they're that's for the flasher relay. That's for the bottom of the exhaust. Goes on there on the left hand exhaust. They're original, all nice cleaned up. That's the 2 foot rest, again original. You can see they've not been scuffed or marked, so I'll clean them up and putting them back on. Again, you know what that is, sort of through the steering, just to polish all that up. It's all ready. Goes to the front of the bike. Okay, I'll tidy all that up in a minute. Put that back there. And finally, you'll need to see that wheel. Right, rear brand new stainless steel spokes. That's the rear drum, and again original drum. It's all polished and coated inside, original, even the original brake drums on there from Yamaha, all cleaned and nice. So that's there. This is the rear drum, polished, cleaned myself. There we are, it's all oiled and ready to go. All absolutely as new, really. Not over polished, I don't believe in over polishing them, but that's polished as you'd find out of the factory in Japan. And this is the rear wheel fitting with, that was coated, there we are. That's a 36 whatever you call it, 36, can't think of the name now, but you know it's 36, whatever you call them. Okay, that's that one. That's all complete wheel ready to be dressed and laced up. There's the front spokes. There's the hub again. I've not over polished it, but you can see that's exactly how it should be. A bit of a coating on there. All the bearings are all lovely. And finally, this is the front drum. Again, all clean, polished, original drums on there, springs, and that's all been polished and chromed and put back together. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me going on. It is a very, very special bike. I think it's a one-off, even though you guys out there have got some special RDs. This being a one-owner bike, well, I'm the second owner, but you get the point. It stood for nearly 40 years, 378 miles on the clock. I'll keep you up to date via YouTube as I start to put it all together. Got little bits and bobs to do before I start putting it together, but I don't want to stop, start. So I'm literally going to get everything that I need to work the way through, and I'll put it on YouTube and hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and safe biking. Thank you.